When Michael meets Dalia, he thinks it's meant to be, like 5,000% sure. Who would ever see that coming? I didn't.
Dalia, we got along really well right from the beginning. At the time, I thought my first marriage wasn't really working out. I wasn't happy, and I meet Diane, everything's new and exciting. And the reality, looking back on it, I made a very bad choice. I had a really good first wife. When Maria got back from traveling, he's been there. Try to calm down. Dalia's mouth gets a little dry, which is always bad news in her line of work. One of the detectives put handcuffs on me. I handcuffed me behind my back. The guy's was, "We've caught the guy who did it. He's a prisoner. You know who this guy is? No. You've never seen him before? I've never seen him before. Ever." And then she looked up at me and she said, "Nope, I've never seen him before." No emotion. She just looked at him. She's like, "Nope, I don't know him." So another lie, which we had, told me that I didn't believe it was happening, but yet I completely believed it was happening. Tell me you didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I want you to quit your acting and get this over with. What? Still refusing to admit the truth. Our dangerous Dalia is about to find out this is a completely different production than the $3,000 drama she thought she paid for. You sound like a fool right now denying this, 'cause like my partner just said, everything's on. Make sure you kill. It was like, kill him, yeah, with a gun? And she's like, yeah, okay. I thought I was always very nice to her. That's what really surprised me. I also showed her some photos of when she met the undercover agent, and we have all this evidence. Be honest and tell the truth. Dalia doesn't fess up. Can we go ahead and arrest report first? Degree murder? Please stand up. Stand up, please. Right after that, then we decided to tell her the truth. How her husband wasn't dead is not true. How is that possible? I'm sitting here. It's not true. It's not possible. You wouldn't even give me. Like 5 times a day, every day. It was exciting all the time. Dalia must have some mind-blowing talents. But Michael believes it's way more than that. It's a beautiful connection that's meant to be. What he doesn't know is that Dalia is no stranger to such fateful connections, and she's turned a profit on every one. 2 minutes to talk to you, but it's not possible. I didn't do this. How come you're not hiring me a lawyer? And I just couldn't believe that she kept coming and coming. And I'm like, look, I said, you're caught. I didn't even get involved, and you tried to kill me. I'm more like, you stole my money. You stole my house. She's like, help me. And I said, I'll help you. I said, sign my house back over to me, and I'll help you. You know what I'll do? You know what I'll do for you? Seriously? What? You sign my house back over to me. I'll help you, Mom. Give me my house back. That's it. That's it. What? And $91,000 in restitution to the victims. And Mike, well, he can't go anywhere. My probation keeps me in Palm Beach County. Dalia pressed me a little about the probation. Look, you have to get off because she wanted to travel. The idea of so much cash being returned to its rightful owners is more than Dalia can stand. She figures out a way to put it in her pocket, but to pull it off, she's going to have to scam her own husband. Dalia did tell Mike that she'll
to do anything to get off probation than I was in anything else. I was going to get my life back. The plan is for Mike to give Dalia $100,000 in cash. She put it in her account and adds $91,000 of her own. Does Dalia have that kind of money? I never really looked at Dalia's money, ever. I wasn't concerned with that. Well, he should have been. Dalia's never sold a thing except his condo and her body. So Michael starts to give her money. He writes her checks. He gives her some cash. Over at me, she wants to help me. We're in this together. I gave Dalia my half, and her half just never seemed to show up, and once that happened,
Guess you could say the games began. She takes his money and she just spends it how she wants. We'd go shopping sometimes, and once in a while, she'd say, "Hey, let me pay for that." The funny thing is, I was paying for it. It was my money, but I would never know that, right? Dalia's scheme bears an uncanny resemblance to a well-known street scam.
With cocaine in it. I said, why would I put that under my tire? If that was mine. Would assume it'd be in my pocket. Cop pulled me aside and they're talking. He says, "Look, I'm going to let you go." And I'm like, I had no idea why this guy let me go. All he had to do was arrest me, and I was in a lot of trouble. Even if he arrested me and let me go, I was in trouble. Here's the bit that gets me. Lawmen love finding parolees breaking the law. Boom, back to prison. No trial, no hassle. But even the cops think, coke smoke, this is a setup. They tell Mike to watch his back and let him go. You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to make some elementary deductions here. Let's start with who's got the keys to my car? I was at the courthouse, and I ran into the arresting officer, and they said to me, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know, the reason we let you go that day, because we knew it was your wife." And I looked at him. I said, "How do you know it was my wife?" He says, "She was more irritated that she had to stand there and wait than she was upset for you." Then there were several calls to his probation officer, several anonymous calls made that he's dealing drugs out of his house, that he's selling steroids, that he's selling ecstasy, and the probation officer would show up unannounced and do searches of Mike Toledo's house. During that period of time, what she's doing is she's trying to have him arrested. She's trying to set him up. She's trying to get his probation officer to violate his probation so he'll go back to prison. How do we know all these details? Dalia is a text addict. Check out this little gem. She definitely was enlisting her former boyfriends to try and help her get rid of Michael. Dalia's many boyfriends seem only too glad to help. And why not? I mean, she's hot, and she makes it clear she's bored with Mike and very much available. She maintains contact with a lot of her ex-lovers and uses them for whatever she needs. Her bestest text with benefits is a rich guy in California named Stanley. She uses him actually to assist her in trying to get Mike Toledo arrested, trying to have him put in jail, planting drugs on him, conspiring to take the house from him. And ultimately, she tells Mike Stanley that she wants to be with him, capitalizing on the fact that he's a wealthy man. Stanley is not only rich, he's a buddyless Lothario who could make any girl squirm with textual desire. Dalia, I have always wanted you. You are my unicorn. What the hell does that even mean? Stanley is happy to be Dalia's love slave, but he's on the wrong coast. He can't work the phones, though, so Mike gets a phone call, supposedly from a lawyer friend of Dalia's, who convinces Mike to sign his paid-for condo over to her. His hook: "You need to protect yourself, Mike. Dalia could be your shelter." During one phone call, "Do you have any assets?" Do you have anything that's in your name? 'Cause I'm concerned that if you do that, since you owe this.
Every wife fears. This is Sergeant Frank Ramsey, Boone Beach Police Department. We're at your residence, ma'am. It's very urgent. When you come home, it involves your husband. There's been an incident at the condo Dalia shares with husband Michael. The grim task of securing a homicide scene is nearly
Restitution, they can take your assets. And he says, well, I do actually happen to own a house. He says, well, you need to get the house out of your name and put it in your wife's name. He and Dolly go the next morning, and he signs the house over. She gets the deed to the house. The title's totally in her name. She gets Mike Stanley to call the Department of the Treasury, to call the IRS, to call the Department of Corrections, trying to get Mike Dillo in trouble with the authorities and arrested and back in jail so that he and Dalia can be together. While all this is going on, it seems from Dalia's texts that she's still in the escort business.
love is blind, clueless. Call it what you want. Mike doesn't even notice. Michael Dillo said that his friends and family suspected his wife of causing some of this trouble for him, but he didn't listen to them. Dia, from what I found out, was texting numerous old boyfriends, so she must have literally been walking out of the room and turning the corner and texting away. I never saw it. You could fault Dalia for a thing or two, like being greedy, manipulative, and evil, but you can't call her vague. Despite making her wishes clear, Dalia's efforts to get her husband back behind bars are going nowhere, and that puts her in a sticky situation. She's burnt through Mike's restitution money. Now, in my experience, people tend to get bent out of shape when large sums of money go missing. I promised this money to probation. Well, they wanted it, and now I don't have an excuse for where it went. You need to get into the mail. I had confronted her a couple times, and she would get very upset. It's not me. What are you talking about? You know I'm coming up with the money. You know I'm trying to give my wife credit. Oh, Dalia has her ways to calm Michael down, and she gives him no time to think. Before Mike, the guy she leeched off, didn't mind. But Mike needs that $100,000 now to get his ass off probation. After 2.5 weeks of this, it just got to the point where I knew, she was lying. And, our sex life's still good. We're still getting along. We're still doing the things we do. But, there's this shadow over me of, okay, where's this money? Because now everybody's asking me, Mike, where's this money supposed to be here? So Dalia is cornered. Mike's going to figure it out soon, and it will be ugly, unless something takes him out of the picture. It's hard to believe, but it seems that Dalia's heart is made of ice. Murder for her is an easy way out of an awkward situation. Oh, and speaking of ice, she brought him tea that was laced with antifreeze. Yeah. Awesome. I'll see you later. Okay. All right, have fun. Yeah. I grab the tea and I take a sip. I couldn't get it out of my mouth fast enough to spit it out. It tasted like gasoline. In my mind, I'm just thinking, oh, they didn't stir my tea. I didn't think anything of it. So Michael Dippolito misses every possible tip-off. He is alive today through no fault of his own, after the poison tea. Complete. Boone Beach cops are well trained in crime scene procedures. They'll need their skills today, because this one is a trap. There's nobody, just a trap for a homicidal newlywed wife. This is a story about a terrible thing. Goes down the drain. Dalia realized she needs professional help. Therapy. And now this is a show about hitmen, remember? I mean, what do you think she's going to do? It's 5 minutes from Dalia Dippolito's gym
to the condo where she believes her husband's been murdered. She thinks she's driving down easy street. At 26, she's a rich widow. All she needs to do now is fake bereavement, as well as she faked being a happy newlywed. There are better solutions to Dalia's dilemma than murder, but none of them seem to cross her mind. If you're in the sex trade, I guess immediate release is what you're usually after. But hiring a hitman is the long-term solution, and she's got an immediate problem. What do? She produces a check for $191,000 so that Mike Dippolito can be off probation. There's no money to back it up. But Mike doesn't know that. This gets a little complicated, so pay attention. They bring the $191,000 check to Mike's lawyer. But now Dalia demands that he pony up the extra 91 grand, not her. Mike's in a bind. He gets the cash and gives it to Dalia. She hands over the check. Is there time for one last flim?
Flam? Why, yes, there is. The old switcheroo. Mike Dippolito walks into his lawyer's office and hands him the check, thinking he's now off probation. He didn't look at it, thinks it's the same check. The lawyer opens the envelope. He finds a check for $191, not $191,000. Now, Mike's really confused. He's no stranger to con games, but could his own wife be pulling a fast one? So now, Dalia's really in a bind. What could she come up with? How about, I'm not thinking clearly, Mike, 'cause I'm pregnant with your baby. I know what you're thinking. Oh no, she didn't. Oh yes, she did. Now I think I have a child coming with her. And so, it's not only my new wife, it's my new pregnant wife. We're sitting there every night. She's reading baby books. I mean, this girl is nuts. We almost painted my extra bedroom with a baby mural. Thank God I didn't do that. At the time, Mike thinks life's great with Dalia, but something odd is going on. Could somebody be out to get him? He's nervous and sets up security cameras. Other than the issue where, the missing money and the probation, he said he thought he had the perfect marriage. They got along great. They went everywhere together. He said they had a tremendous sex life. I mean, he was very happy. Other than that one particular issue, the girl sleeping in bed next to me every night, her mother's over the house every other night. I'm at her mom's house every other day. I'm doing a lot of nice things with her family. I just, I couldn't imagine. I guess let's just say this. If I was going to do what she did, I wouldn't bring her around my family. Or people if I would just planned on robbing and trying to kill someone. I don't see it. So that fogged my judgment a little as well. Now, Dalia married Mike in February 2009. By April, she's working on getting Mike whacked. I think black widow spiders have longer honeymoons. Dalia realizes that killing Mike will be that almost happened to a guy who should have seen it coming. It's about a temptress who sets up the man who loves her. Kind of like that old Bible story, Samson and Delilah. Mike thinks he's in a different movie. One of those hooker with a heart of gold jobs. Pretty Woman, maybe. But Dalia, make. Lot easier if she outsources the job. So she decides the perfect candidate is her longtime lover, Mohammed Shahada. Mohammed gives her some pushback. Unlike Dalia, he knows the difference between a favor and homicide. They're having a heated conversation, and she's saying about how she wants to have her husband killed. And there are some gang members from Riviera Beach that are close and can hear their conversation. So they step in and say, "We'll do it." She takes them and drives them by the house that she lives in with Mike Dippolito. They come back and they tell Mohammed
You know, she's crazy. We're not going to do it. There's surveillance cameras outside of the front of the house. When the gangbang is back out, Dalia turns up the heat on Muhammad. If he won't help her, she'll find someone else or do it herself with his gun. For Muhammad, the bloom is definitely off to Dalia Rose. Alyssa Nookie, he was up for
First-degree murder. Not so much. Florida fries people for that. So what does he do? He calls the cops. Muhammad tells Detective Alex Marino of the Boone Beach PD about Dalia's crazy scheme. Detective Marino tells Muhammad he'll need his help to shut her down.
Muhammad agrees to play along. I'm glad the guy obviously did what he did and turned in to the police. He saved my life. In all fairness, you know, he spent a lot of my money with her, and he's banging my wife, so I'd have to say we're kind of even. Detective Moreno knows he's got to catch Da red-handed, or he can't charge her. Muhammad's story just hearsay, so he bugs Muhammad's car and then gets him to set up a rendezvous. Dalia Dippolito showed up at the gas station, driving her car. The informant was at the gas station, already waiting for her. She exits her vehicle, goes into the informant's car that was set up with the video and audio, and they immediately begin the conversation. And without any hesitation, she begins talking about how she wanted her husband killed. Muhammad is an actor, and he sticks to the script. I won't do it myself, Dalia, but I do know a guy. Dalia hands over pictures of Mike in their condo. The police get it all on tape. One tape, right? But right now, I'm not seeing him. I'm not anything. Wipe my off the pictures. Really? You're going to give him something with my fingerprints all over? I'm going to keep it. The next scene the cops want is the money shot. Dalia hiring a hitman. Officer Whitty, John looks like a cop. But Dalia doesn't pick up on it. Now, here's a little tip for you. Policemen and bad guys look alike, but cops have better teeth. They told me they had this lady who was trying to find someone to kill her husband. So they wanted me to pose as the hitman and try to make contact with her and set up a meeting so we can talk about, the details of killing her husband. Officer Woody Jean, he was in the Undercover unit, so we decided that he would be the best guy to play the role as a hitman. Woody Jean had been working undercover for a while, so he was actually very experienced. No mistake, she's a vixen straight out of the Old Testament. October 2008, the year before that fateful August. Mike Dippolito isn't looking for trouble, but he does want to get naughty. Mike's wife, Maria, is out of town. He has needs, and a telephone. Dalia Dippolito meets Officer Woody Jean and his guise of killer for hire. We had our undercover unit set up the cameras inside the car, which would have been Woody Jean's car, and we set up audio where we can actually listen as it's happening live, which is why we could hear exactly what Dalia said when she thought she was hiring a hitman. I told her, well, okay, so how do you want it done? Where do you want it done? She was definitely interested in telling me, this is his schedule, on Wednesday. That's when I want it done, if it's possible. I said, well, Wednesday is good. We're good. Wednesday's 2 days away. What you're seeing is a desperate woman who fears her scheming ways are about to be revealed at the house. Like, how soon could you do it? Wednesday morning. Her interaction with the hitman was very much a business transaction. Here's what I want to happen. Here's his schedule. Here's pictures. Here's the money. Like, let's get this done. She never expressed very much emotion about having her husband killed. It was like she was going to make a nail appointment
She was going to have her husband murdered, someone she supposedly loved, someone she's married to, and she could have cared less. But even when hiring a hitman, Dalia is a savvy shopper. In fact, she's got an ingenious scheme to get Mike whacked for free. On Wednesday, and money, like I know what bank he's going through, Dalia hatches a plan for Mike to pay for his own hit. He's going to get 10 grand from the bank in a couple of days, she tells Whitty. Hit him on the street, take the money, we're even. Bad plan, says Whitty. Too many witnesses, too hard to fake, is what he's really thinking. What Whitty really needs is for Dalia to offer him money. That's the crime. Okay, when it's all done, I was going to get $3,000 from you today. Then Whitty Jean convinces Dalia that the way to do the hit is at the condo, the old robbery gone bad ploy. Because I was looking in newspapers here, there's been a lot of burglaries. In this area, you also want to establish different aspects of a crime. You definitely want to show intent. You actually want to gather evidence. Criminal intent. This is what it sounds like. I'm positive, like 5,000% sure. I'd still just say to myself, why didn't she just hire a lawyer and divorce me? I mean, what would I do? Cry? Say no? She would have still wound up, making out like a bandit. Dalia thinks that hitman is her ticket to life as a prosperous boy and beach widow. All of her needs will be taken care of. Officer Whitty Jean also has plans to get Dalia what she needs, but he thinks shackles will be a good start. You try to be as relaxed and cool as possible without losing your edge. Basically, you don't want to be, in there, relaxed, so cool to the point where you become complacent. Then you're going to die. Dalia's bought Whitty Jean Zach. She offers him $3,000. That's pretty cheap for a hitman. But all Officer John needs on tape is for her to make any offer of money for murder. Her intent was that I'm going to pay $1,200 to get him killed, i.e. if he asked. Bad combo. He called an escort to his office in Boca, and the woman that showed up was Dalia Sampson. Meet Delilah. How did Mike feel that ill-star day? I'd like to tell you I met Dalia at church, but I'd be lying to you. Me and for $3,000. Okay, I'm willing to pay $3,000. Meanwhile, lead investigator Alex Marino is blocking out this thing for the day of the hit. He wants Dalia on camera after she thinks Mike's been killed. A trial, like a movie, is a show. He's preparing for it and wants every scene just right. What do you need to dress? Your set? Cop cars, crime tape, all that CSI stuff. We're going to make a believe like it was a robbery or a burglary that went wrong. Put some fingerprint dust in front of the house by the front door. Just make it look like somebody just got killed inside the house. The hit is set for Wednesday morning. Dalia's job is to make herself scarce. I give her the instructions to leave her house by 6 in the morning. So this is Dalia's moment of truth. She could call it off, stay home, tell the hitman, never mind. She might have to do some fast talking, but she's good at that. She doesn't do it. She kisses Mike. Goodbye, like it's any other day. She heads to the gym, figuring when she sees him next, it'll be at the mall. Dally gets up, says, I'm going to go to the gym today. And I'm like, okay. She just won't stop talking. When she leaves the house early in the morning, she takes all her jewelry to the gym. I mean, who does that? She took, some of her prized possession with her because she knew that I was going to be stealing things from the house. She didn't want one of the things stolen to be hers. Wednesday morning,
Everybody shows up early in the morning, and people get assigned to different locations where they're going to be conducting surveillance. We set detectives at the house, giving us information when she
leaves and when she goes to the gym. With Dalia gone, the cops go to work. They've got to get it done fast. First thing, break the news to the newlywed that the woman of his dreams wants him 6 feet under. Sergeant Sheridan, Paul. Sheridan knocked on the door, and I was also standing there, and we made contact with Mr. Michael Dippolito for the first time, and we tell him that, hey, we're conducting an investigation where your wife is trying to get you killed, and that's why we're here, and we need to get you out of the house as soon as possible. You shaking, nervous, in shock. You didn't know what to think. You know, it hit me. I'm like, okay. Everything that happened, the drugs, everything crazy that's been happening, the money missing, I just knew it was her. I kind of knew it was her, but I didn't want to. My worst day in the world was that it was my wife. And lo and behold, here's the worst day in the world right now.
When Mike's safely downtown, Sergeant Ramsey calls the wannabe widow. "This is Sergeant Frank Ramsey, Boone Beach Police Department. We're at your residence, ma'am. It's very urgent when you come home. It involves your husband. There's been an incident." Upon her arrival, she sees all this police action going on, and the yellow tape and everything else, so she pretty much has an idea, thinking that her husband had been killed. What you're about to see is the first and only take of Dalia's career-making performance. Listen, we had a report of a disturbance at your house, and there were shots fired. Is your husband Michael? Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, man. He's been killed. When love becomes a transaction and a spouse becomes a target, the very meaning of happily ever after is corrupted. Dalia's story is a stark warning about the dangers of greed and the terrifying coldness of a heart driven by narcissism. True love seeks to build up, not to destroy for profit. Let us value the people in our lives for who they are, not for what we can take from them. Integrity is the only wealth that truly lasts.